and welcome to episode 8 of season 2 of the Critical Twits podcast. I'm Brian, and I'm joined by my dark and fetid colleague Keith. Say hi, Keith.
Hello.
This episode is an audio and visual extravaganza, and you can be seen on both our YouTube channel and on our Critical Twits podcast feed, available from all good and several bad podcast applications. This interview is part of the series that's currently ongoing, where we talk with indie RPG creators. We've previously talked with Effect Publishing about their Tales of the Old West Kickstarter. We've talked with Sasha Lightfoot from Slightly Reckless Games about Ronin and Berserker, their Mork Borg engine-based games. We talked to Potato Cubed. We talked to Sarah Newton about her recent game Chronicles of Future Earth. And we also talked to Matthew Mislinski about slasher horror RPG Chainsaw. But today, very excitingly, we are joined by a writer, an artist, and a poet. The author of over 100 supplements for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, launcher of 25 Kickstarter campaigns, creator for Mork Borg, Cyborg, Death in Space, and a former suited enforcer of bureaucratic evil turned good guy. Thank you so much for joining us, Christian Eichhorn.
Hey, happy to be here.
I was just saying beforehand that when Keith joined the Critical Twits, your name was the first name that he came up with as someone that he wanted to interview. So Keith, why was that? Why are you so excited, boy?
Well, I was a young, nubile GM looking for new content. I think you dragged me along to the Games Expo for my first year. It was 2023, and I think I went to the Soul Muppet store there. I asked for some recommendations, and they basically threw Bergen Chrypt at me. And like, this is awesome. I think they mentioned in that moment, that first conversation, I was saying the guy's ridiculous. He just pumps this stuff out. He creates so much stuff, and it's always good. So yeah, it was from there. And I think having ran my first campaign for Brian included, but with a good few of my friends, a couple of which they'd never played tabletop role playing before. It's just a really good experience. Yeah, it was. I'd run like scenarios before, like Call of Cthulhu and that, but like my brain struggles with all that. Where Mork Borg's a nice fit for punchy, reacting, like fertile ground for the imagination to run riot off, and yeah, had a really good experience.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. I mean, because basically, like, you have to say, like, Bergen Chrypt is a scene with 48 pages, and it's a campaign only in the sense that the GM has to do like 90% of the work. So yeah, I'm happy you enjoyed the campaign, because I mean, you probably did most of the work.
we had a habit of elaborating out a touch. So I mean, I drew stuff from other, what was it, like your Monsters book, which I think you recommended, your Monsters zine. I think it was like a scene. I think one of the first. I could talk about this campaign forever, so I may need to be stopped at some point. But one of the first things is you meet this. There's a flickering light in the distance on these random tables, because it's all random tables, I think, for each area, and then you've got
each tile, yeah,
exactly. And it's like flickering light in a swamp. Turns out to be a wickhead called Pip Pap. Pip Pap is now, of course, beloved by all, and is a key member of the congregation, as it became to be known, as we spread the word into the blasted lands of Bergen Chrypt. So again, just little punchy sentences that just kind of exploded into, with not just me, but all the players coming together. So really, really fun for that.
So. Yeah. I mean, that is the basically the biggest upside of MÖRK BORG, that people go in with completely other expectations compared to Dungeons and Dragons, where everything has to be laid out in excruciating detail. And with MÖRK BORG, you just throw a lot of cool stuff at the wall, and it usually sticks. And that is why I also stuck with the system in general for so many years. Going into the 4th year now, I guess. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because you also write Dungeons and Dragons products,
wrote. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, have you stopped?
Yeah. Basically, I kickstarted my very first MÖRK BORG thing, which was the Worlds of Torment, and I did 2 final D&D products after that. But after I released those, it was MÖRK BORG all the way, basically. I at the very least I used the style of MÖRK BORG for these D&D products, but then I was like, this is not working at all. Like, Kickstarter is way better platform for creating stuff, and you couldn't put these DM skilled things on Kickstarter because of rules. And so I told myself, just go full MÖRK BORG. And then a little angel on my shoulder, and with angel at my demon says, always go full MÖRK BORG.
Is that because you obviously there's the monetization and control and the Kickstarter? So do you prefer writing in that way, where you're giving those prompts rather than laying out exactly which square the goblin is hiding behind a tree in, or what was is there a creative reason as well as a kind of the Kickstarter reason?
Yeah, I mean, the production of itself is completely different in the sense of that for my old D&D stuff, I wrote the complete draft. Then I sent it to the editor, I got it back after some back and forth, and then I created the layout afterward. And for MÖRK BORG, it's just basically the other way around. I mostly start with the layout, and just I throw in lots of pictures in Photoshop, and then I have my page somewhat filled, and then I squeeze in the text, and then after I'm done with that, I have to rip all the text out again, put it into a draft, and get it edited after. So and that is just way more fun, like to create the content around the layout. Yeah.
It feels very Mork Borg, I guess, in that sense. Because, like, again, the punchy style of the original Johan Noor look and everything. I mean, there's exceptions, but I think every one of your books definitely has that energy behind it. So it feels inspired by.
Oh yeah, fully.
that
Yeah.
content, which is
Yeah.
And so to be clear, so you're the writer and you're the artist. I know you've done some collaborations on some of these, but you're the designer artist as well on all this for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, the most notable exception is Monsters, where I got all the pictures from Václav or Václav Trier. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. And yeah, otherwise, 99% of the art is either drawn by me, but mostly just public domain stuff. Sometimes I use it one-to-one because it's just awesome right out of the box. But more often than not, I fiddle around with it and just create some potpourri of stuff. I mean, which is also cool in the sense of that I can also spend like 3 or 4 hours just powering through museums, what they have on offer, and can be then inspired by what I find, as opposed to the other way around of writing it beforehand and then searching pictures for it.
Yeah, I like that. It's almost like you build an image board, and then the image board is the piece that you then write around it, which is almost contrary to how I thought you'd go about it. So that's really cool.
Basically, I mean, the thing is, I really don't enjoy drawing. So I only do it if there's no way around it. So like if I need a picture of like a Medusa in a swamp, then I have to draw it because there's nothing available, basically. But if it's just like some old knight riding on a horse, then most likely some medieval guy already has that covered.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great use in a lot of your books. It's like the array as well. It's all quite eclectic. Like in Mork Borg, again, you have a very different art styles sometimes from page to page, but it does still have a unity to it. But again, the style of the text as well. I think Mork Borg, particularly as a theme, and within your works, there seems to be enough just to light a flame, just to kind of start that imagination whirring. I think what's going on when I don't know if you're the same. I don't know if you're the same, Brian, as well on this, but when you're reading like a new game book or a campaign or something, you're flicking through, seeing if you want to run it. For me, it's normally there has to be like a dramatic moment or a scene that kind of I can really picture that, or I can experience that, or just something that really excites you and amuses you, gets the vibe. I think for Bergen Chrypt, I literally remember reading through it and reading the opening to Wormstall. I don't know if would you be comfortable with me just reading it out just to give a vibe?
Are you asking me? I mean,
Yeah,
yes, go ahead.
sorry,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I
it's not
completely.
spoilers.
No. I mean, yeah, you can read out whatever you like. I mean, because I also already long forgot what I wrote, so I have
Well, I mean, I read this, so it's like so you read this out to the players. Lo and behold, a decrepit village lies before you. A malnourished yokel chases a three-legged dog with a fork and knife in hand. A bunch of drunk charcoalers rough up an old donkey. Why won't they stop? It's already dead. A rag and bone man pries a ring from a dead vagrant's finger and throws the body onto his mouldy cart. He smiles from ear to ear, whistling a slimy tune through his teeth holes. In viewing of this shithole, your disappointment is immeasurable, and your day is ruined. Welcome to Wormstall. It's just, I read that, and I was like, "This, I'm running." I literally messaged WhatsApp group immediately, messaged people like, who's playing this with me.
Yeah, that was the. I mean, I don't know if you guys know the this little Easter egg, like the review bra.
What? Sorry.
You guys don't? Okay, there's a guy on YouTube who reviews fast food chains, and this my day's ruined. That is from him basically. That's his.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
That's
that.
his. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That's awesome.
Motto.
Motto,
Tagline.
yeah,
The
that might
motto,
be.
yeah.
I have an English degree and I don't know how words work. That's embarrassing.
It's hard.
Took me too long. I think that's a good place just to jump slightly sideways. There's lots and lots of different creators, obviously, in the tabletop RPG space. You've done a lot of stuff, as we said at the beginning. What do people get when they get one of your products, when they get one of your zines, one of your books, one of your campaigns? What is it that makes it yours, or what's kind of your style or your feeling that you're aiming for?
Oh boy. I mean it's actually a pretty hard question, because like the general style I'm going for isn't mine. It's completely inspired by the source book, or and then also inspired by the cyborg book, which came after. Because Johan Nohr, who is the layouter and also the artist for those books, he just covered it all. There's not much left to like invent, or like he just kind of covered all the bases, like Star Trek did for science fiction. So I mean there are like a few pieces here and there where I can what's it called, innovate or something along those lines. Yeah, but just from the general design, that's yeah, basically derivative. But I mean, that's essentially going back to why Mork Borg just hit my vibe. In my one part was the design, but the other part was just these it's absurd. That is the word I was looking for, and absurdity. That's just my thing, and that's why I just feel at home. I don't even need to like actively think about it. It just comes so natural to me. So that's why I have an easy time putting out so much content. And yeah, and on that note as well, when Cyborg came out, I was super hyped and pumped to write stuff for it. Also because of like new things I could do for the design and art. But I've noticed that it's not the same vibe. Basically, it couldn't hold my or it couldn't like hold my heart, I guess. So yeah, that's why I'm. But mostly, I don't know, even know. I think it's more than a year now since I've worked on something for Cyborg. Yeah. So MÖRK BORG is just my thing, basically.
So
I feel that. Yeah.
I'm going to ask Keith a question, which I don't normally do in this because no one cares what either of us has to say about anything really. But Keith, if you just show the camera, and if you're listening on the podcast, I'll describe a little bit what stuff you have of Christians.
Oh, shall I just pick it up?
Yeah, just pick it up.
up.
I can see your arms straining already.
Note. this is to note that there are 2 on their way, if I'm right, Christian. So that's the collection so far. Although obviously there's a lot of zines.
Yeah. I mean, be happy about the hardcovers because they won't ever be reprinted. So.
Oh wow!
Right. Yeah, like the hardcovers are beautiful as well. In fact, all the bind, even the zines is high quality. But yeah, these are beautiful. This one I really want to run next. This was Hallow in particular. But
yeah, the Golden Heart Crusaders, isn't there?
So just for our ever patient audio listeners, you've 3 hardback books, half a dozen zines, and a bunch of bound zines, and then a bunch of other stuff there. So what is it that makes you come back, Keith? Because there's a lot of content out there. Why do you keep coming back from buying that one Bergen Chrypt book? What's made you come back? Maybe you can tell Christian why he's good.
Because I need more of an excuse to be a fanboy right now. Yeah. I think, again, for me, I've read other stuff, but I guess it's that level of slight bizarreness, which both rings true of me. It fits my sense of humor. It fits my table sense of humor. And it feels there's enough there. Like there's a lot of bits where, as you kind of said earlier, that a lot of it I had to do myself. But I don't know, in terms of the framework, it felt complete. It felt like if I wanted to just run Bergen Chrypt with nothing added on, I could have done it. It might have been done over like 6 sessions rather than the however many we've had, 20 odd,
20 something, yeah.
Yeah, but it could be done. Obviously, the beauty though is in the embellishment, which I think is what it kind of supports. That your style supports that. So as much as it's your campaign we're playing, it's our campaign that's happening out of that, very much so. And the stories that have come out of it are bizarre and insane. and I was going to say, just you saying about the like Mork Borg being a slightly, I can't remember what the word was, not silly, but like it's tongue in cheek, right? Because I've heard people playing Mork Borg where it's very dark, it's very grim, it's very brutal, which it is all of those things. But in obviously it's also like there's a man chasing a dog with a knife and fork. There's a vomit demon.
I remember the guy with the knife and fork.
It was so good. Good. The giant unblinking eye that it just looks sadly at you and doesn't do anything, and having the players just spend half an hour trying to either poking it and stabbing it or crying with it, or and any other ideas that come out that's the fun of it. It's what I create off that, which is just the fun part, I think.
I mean, it's also like a thing for me is that I would never expect anybody to run the stuff I write as is, because I've never in my life run anything out of the box. Whenever I get something, I read through it and I'm like, yeah, I really don't like this, and I change so much. And this is also like, as I said, I wouldn't expect anybody to to run it out of the box. I would also always just assume that everybody throws out the shit and puts new stuff in, and that is how I approach the whole thing, basically.
I guess that's the thing, though. If you have a table of a D10 table, there's a lot there that's good. Like I'll find usually 5 things that I'm like, yes, I could use that. Yes, I could use that. It's when, I guess, if you played some campaigns or some games where you're like, I don't like that whole scene, or I don't like that whole pivotal moment. But beauty of Mork Borg is if you don't like something, you just roll again or do something else, can't you? Especially with some of the, obviously you've tried a few different methods I could see through some of your books, but Bergen Chrypt in particular obviously is very much randomly generated with key scenes in between it.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, you have a few of the hardcovers, but in the meantime, I also converted these to scenes. I threw out not lots of, but I threw out some of the content and rearranged stuff. But at the end of the day, I always have to squeeze my stuff now into 48 pages, and sometimes it's a campaign like Bergen Chrypt, and sometimes it's just one like adventure in one location, like Cult of the Hydron Lamp. So I always have to make it work somehow, basically. And of course you can't have like a complete campaign in just one scene. So it can always just be a framework. Same thing for adventure in Hellout, which was previously a standalone Boneheart Crusaders. Yeah, you will either get like a campaign framework or one more detailed adventure, or just like a collection of random shit like in Purgatory. No, in Apocrypha.
Yeah, there's a good mix of different things. Like I say, the Vaults of Torment, which is a fairly recent one. Very looking forward to that. One massive mega dungeon.
That's the mega dungeon you've been saying that we're going to play on the other podcast that we do.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. Roll in the Dark, an actual play podcast. Check it out. There's a link if you look below. It's good.
Yeah,
we'll be doing that at some point, I think, Keith. I've committed you to it now.
I hope so. The thing is, this is something I could probably like. There's so many games. Like again, I come back to Call of Cthulhu or even Alien. I feel like I'd have to prep for so long to feel comfortable enough to run out on stream. There's something about this where I feel like I could just pick it up, start rolling, and we'll have fun. Like it will be silly, but we'll have fun. But then, you like the other books you brought, like I said, like you said about the standalone things like monsters. So like every page is like another horrific abomination. I think you've met quite a few. Brian's met quite a few of them in different forms and different formats. Even if it's just a rule set that I've just chucked that in a dungeon because that fits well or whatnot, and it's good resources again. I was going to say, like going on for that, you brought out a load of stuff on Kickstarter, and then you've kind of started re-releasing. Well, I think over the last am I right saying over the last kind of 2 years you've been re-releasing old stuff alongside some new stuff, or?
Exactly, yeah. The like the Swords of Torment scene you just showed, this was print on demand at the beginning. Like the first 5 or 6 Kickstarters I ran, those were all print on demand and TTRPG, but the print on demand quality is just pretty shit. Especially, I mean, it would be probably serviceable if you just would sell like let's say OSR stuff, which is black and white, and that would work perfectly. But still, because like in MÖRK BORG, you also have these old oil paintings and lots of colorful stuff. The print on demand was just subpar, and I was looking for a long time for somebody to fulfill my campaigns, and when I finally got somebody, I could organize proper print runs, and that's why I went back to all these old print on demand things to put them into a scene format. Yeah, and I did it in parallel basically. But
But you've also added to those as well, haven't you? When you've re-released them, and as you said before, readjust.
It honestly depends a little bit. For Walls of Torment, I added lots of content. For Dungeons, I took out a little bit of content. For Leviathan, which was previously the Temple of the Kraken God, I put in a lot more. And I mean, usually there's more.
So an impressive collection, to say the least. I was going to say about the Kickstarter approach again. Come back briefly. Just you don't go bells and whistles. There's not like dice and screens and everything. It is consistent. Here's a book. Here's a zine. I've made it. Here, do you want it PDF or do you want it physical? And that's it. And it's just out. And I think again, it seems to be above all consistent, high quality, but also successful. Like I mean, some of them have hit 2,000% funding. Notably,
well, you can completely ignore these percentages because it's arbitrary. It would make sense to print 10. You know what I mean? It's not like a hardcover. For a hardcover, you need 1,000, or at the very least 500, if you want to do a proper offset print run to make it happen. If you want to judge the success, you should just look at the number of backers. Let's say like below 300. If I had a project where I put in, let's say 4 or 6 weeks, and it only has 300 backers, that would be something I would consider barely successful. But like Leviathan, which had 500, which was the best in recent times, that is a very successful campaign, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about kind of the indie RPG scene and the way that people can now produce these smaller products, things like the zines and sell directly to people is it kind of gives you that control as a creator, which I like. I like control, don't I, Keith?
Mhm.
I like to know where my stuff's going, and
Mm.
that any mistakes are mine, and then also the glorious, dizzying successes are also mine. But it also has that kind of that I've mentioned this before to other people who interviewed, that kind of that punk rock kind of do it yourself, make it yourself. Who cares what anyone else wants you to do? Do what you want to do, kind of vibe. Do you like that? Do you enjoy being kind of the sole person in charge of this sort of branching mini empire, I suppose, of all these different things that you've made?
Um, yes. I mean, I've never had it any other way, basically, because just to talk a little bit about my biography.
Mm.
You already mentioned I was working in the field of corporate law, but it was so boring. And then I saved up some money and moved to Berlin to just study something else, biophysics. And to earn a little bit on the side, I started writing for the M Guild, where you write your stuff and then you release it. There's no publisher or whatever. And yeah, I never was in the position that I was a writer for somebody else. I immediately just released my own stuff, and yeah, I mean, yeah, don't feel any inclination um, to write for anybody else's game. I mean, aside from there are a few exceptions. I will be writing a little bit for uh, MÖRK Borg, MÖRK Borg for organization. That's the one. Yeah, I
Ah,
will be writing a little bit for that one, for example. But that's the biggest exception. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, as I have my own ideas, I will be working on my
Mm.
own stuff.
I did notice. I think it was your latest Kickstarter that you had a disclaimer about AI on there, about nothing being AI
Yeah,
generated.
I think I had it for a few. Yeah, but yeah,
Mm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was just wondering what your thoughts were. AI is something that's coming into all aspects of
yeah,
writing, but has obviously been quite controversial recently in the RPG space.
yeah. I mean,
And I,
I guess it's kind of a settled issue now that you shouldn't use it, and the the writing side of things, I would never use it because that would just be completely self-defeating.
Mhm.
Like that is like, yeah, if you um, let the writing be handled by an AI, then you might as well just go pack up and go home, right?
Yeah, quit your job, right?
Uh,
Yeah.
but when I guess it's now 3 years ago, basically the very first scenes I ever created, where I had a partner for publishing. That was right when Midjourney was released, which is the engine which created pictures. And can you, Keith, can you show us the Cult of the Hadron Lamp scene
Ooh, yeah.
again?
I've got the
Because
old
oh,
for my first
one.
yep, that is an original version where I had a cover created by Midjourney. Um,
Ah.
yeah, basically for my first three scenes, I was completely blown away by what these engines could create. It was just absolutely absurd. Like this is absolutely nightmarish picture. I,
It's
mm,
horrible. It's truly
yeah,
horrible.
yeah. And yeah, I was like, okay, this is absolute game changer, because like I said, I kind of didn't like the 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 painting process in of itself, and I thought, wow, yeah, now I can basically do everything. But yeah, it didn't take long until people were like, um, yeah, this is no good. Um, you shouldn't do it. And yeah, eventually I also came around and um, have since basically not used any AI anymore in any capacity, basically.
I mean, I think it's, as an artist, you're going to be tempted to try new tools out, to experiment, right?
Yeah,
And again, like there's plenty of horrible outcomes of AI art, but there is some fascinating, like I've been randomly watching some YouTube videos lately of just random weird scenes in like a little mini film, all in AI, and it's horrifying. It's really alarming stuff, but like fascinating. Like you can't look away. So I don't know. For me, I wonder if hopefully there's like an unholy union where, even if it's in a sense of you work with AI but to support or inform your art, but then it's still created by you, right? There's always room for that.
I mean, there's like one thing I really like is there's a YouTube channel called Demon Flying Fox or something, and he uses AI to just create these I don't even know, like mashups. He just puts Harry Potter in Alabama, or Breaking Bad into Berlin, and everybody speaks German, and it's just fucking hilarious. And this is, I mean, at the end of the day, it's I guess putting people out of work. I don't know, but it's just good. It's just good.
Yeah,
I think there is room for AI to produce content that's worthwhile, but not just simply in the case of where you're literally putting people out of work, where you would have usually paid an artist and then you don't, and that is counterproductive to
100%.
the world.
Yeah, I think
Schaffenshöhe. This is the German word I wanted to say.
German has some great words that we try to steal. Just talking about that, I assume English is not your first language.
That is correct. Yeah. Well,
So,
I mean, it might as well kind of be.
How so? How so?
Well, I mean, I was lucky in the sense of I was born in the I was born in the GDR, like the East German Republic, but 86. So when I was entering primary school, it was already reunified, and we started having English in third class. So it was just always a thing, and all like some media also you start consuming at a young age was in English, like old DOS games or something was all in English. So you were always forced to engage with the language, and I mean I was kind of shit in English in a educational sense, because I didn't learn anything. I wasn't motivated to like learn the grammar, the rules, but just like consuming all this media worked just fine. Like I basically I have the gut feeling to make it work, and my editor is pretty content with what I sent him. He doesn't he doesn't have to do much work.
That says it all, doesn't it? I think it can get past the editor.
I think it's doubly impressive in the fact that Mork Borg and to a certain extent games like Cyborg have their own kind of vocabulary. They have their own kind of tone, and it's not using words that you use every day. There's a lot of unusual words, very kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of an elevated form of grammar, almost old-fashioned in places, and that kind of thing. Is that something that you've had to kind of work on or find different words, or is it something that you find natural to do?
The thing is, I mean, I don't have all the words right, and usually I have to look it up, and when I do, it's basically the upside of not being a native speaker. I do find cool words, which like a native writer wouldn't find out about, because like going from the German translation, my translator just gives me like 5 good ideas about it, and then there's one among them which I've never heard before. It sounds very funny, and then I just use that one, and then my editor is like, wow. what the fuck is that? And I'm like, I don't know either. The translator suggested it to me.
To be fair,
and I even let me whip something up here, because I have an Excel sheet with funny words in it with translations.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which I try to use from time to time. Like my last one I entered here is discombobulated, or
Classic.
Discombobulated is one of
yeah,
my
that is, yeah.
favourite words.
Word.
Oh, I love the word
Good word.
discombobulated.
Yeah.
Answers in comments what you think it means. Don't cheat.
Galumphing. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Cockamamie. Convalescence.
Mhm.
Yeah. Brio and Wim. What's the Lechomain is such a nice word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Cantankerous. Such just like how it sounds, it's perfect.
yeah, there's a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
Going
And
for the
yeah,
equivalent.
that is how I usually find funny words and then I use them. I mean, yeah, but the guy who translated MÖRK BORG was, in my opinion, a native speaker. So maybe for him it was kind of the same thing. Like he just entered the whole Swedish draft into a translator, and then all these strange words came
Maybe
out.
it's part
Yeah.
of the flavor, yeah. Well, I think it's one of the one shots that are available on the Mork Borg website. But there's a line, it was something like that: "The king is redolent in his travesty," and that stuck with me so hard. It's such a
Yeah.
phrase. I have to look up
Yeah.
both of them, but
Yeah, the what I love is the I mean, the writing in Notebook is awesome, and like this is one of my pet peeves. And seldom somebody like everybody always says, "Oh man, this spread looks nice. The art is so good," and I'm like, "Yep. But what about writing, right?" And that's why I made a point of congratulating Pelle on one of the spreads, which is in Notebook the one. Something like on the wind writes the stench of rot or something like this, where it starts with all the big words and then goes to the smaller words. Yeah, there's such awesome writing in MÖRK BORG with this really unique way of formulating basically, which also caught my eye basically, aside from the art style.
that makes sense. I mean, obviously, there's awards for the art. There's awards for I think there's awards for the writing too. And I think
Yeah, they won everything.
It's exactly right. It's as much Pels as it is.
Let me just
Cool.
read it out real quick. So, yeah, okay. This is just my favorite part. Like the wind from the west, from the sundered land, rot rides it, and the stench of blood. Cursed walker, will you travel there? To the valley of the unfortunate undead. Our young ones are taken by the trade thief Tergel, known for his vile crimes and alchemy of flesh. It's just fucking perfect.
Glorious, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, well, the whole point of the game book, any game book, you could have 30 pages, 400 pages of lore and background, but in a paragraph, if you can get a feel and a flavor, you've succeeded, right? And that's one of the reasons I think I love this game. I mean,
Yeah.
coming from the wordplay as well. I mean, I guess do you have any particular artists or movies or books that you enjoy or go to that kind of help inspire your work?
I mean, not particularly. It's more like I played a lot of PC games in my youth, like all the old Infinity Engine games like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale and Planescape.
Oh yes, yeah.
And that is just that was my shit, right? I was going crazy about that when I was a kid, and I think that's still my font of inspiration. Yeah.
No, for real. I remember getting I mean my degree, which when I'm sure I'll use parts of it in every day, but I did a games art degree off the back of, I think the moment was finishing one of the Soul Reaver games and just thinking that was fucking awesome. And because you're playing, you got the movie element, you got the music, you got the whole experience. It's absolutely, it's such a games. I think video games are sometimes looked down on a bit as a medium. I don't know why, because they can be absolute stunning art forms.
I mean, I think not so much anymore nowadays, but when I was a kid, it was definitely very much frowned upon. Like you were an absolute freak if you played PC games, basically. I mean, I was lucky. Yeah, I mean, it was lucky enough. Like we were like 4 or 5 guys in our class. We lived in the same village, and we usually, when there was some sort of vacation, like Easter or whatever, we carried our PCs and these big ass old monitors to each other, and then we just played games. It was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I used to be a card carrying member of the Horror Writers Association, and one of their things was that they hook you up. That sounds odd. They link you up with someone to be your mentor. And I remember one of the first things when I was chatting with this guy back and forth was he told me not to be inspired by video games, that it could ruin your writing, to
Wow.
not be involved with video games. And I was like,
Interesting.
oh, that's odd, because something like Planescape Torment and Silent Hill, they're baked into the way I kind of look at creativity. It's that kind
Yeah.
of stuff I want to write, and I want to bring in those kind of that, not necessarily those specific ideas, but that kind of feel to a lot of what I
Yeah.
want to what I want to do.
That's exactly it. Like just this. I guess one notable example also Morrowind, the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Those were just games when I started them up as a kid. It just blew my mind. Like I was like, "What the fuck is going on here? This is even everything here possible, man. I just want to live here." And that's the energy basically I'm putting into my own stuff, like making it something I want to, like, basically let somebody experience who is young and just have something they can dig into and be like, what the fuck is going on here?
This is what tabletop role playing is, right? It's you're building a world, but you're turning what is a small zine into a whole world of adventure for everybody, right? It's the idea that you can live that story. I guess it's, for me, it's the next level, right? When you're playing a video game like an open world video game like Oblivion or Skyrim or something, the taking that into a tabletop with friends where generally does feel like the sky's the limit. It's
that
the
is,
reason I'm here, right? It's fun with some things.
yeah, that's one thing I'm sad about, that we didn't, like, I started TTRPG when I was 29 or something.
Oh.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm from absolute backwater, and TTRPG what just was not a concept we were even aware of. Like we knew Baldur's Gate 1, for example, that is the Dungeons and Dragons engine. It's based on Dungeons and Dragons, which is a game you play with pencil and paper. But like kind of like never did we think about getting into it, because we didn't even know how to get the books. Like it was just yeah, I don't know. It was never crossed our minds, and yeah, that is something I'm sad about now, because like we could have had so much fucking fun.
Yeah.
All that.
Well, if
Yeah.
it helps, I had lots of those books as a child and no one to play them with.
That
As
sucks.
a weird only child,
No.
I remember getting kicked out of the school library at 13 for playing Fighting Fantasy with my friends, because they said no dice games. Go
Wow.
stand
You're
stand in
clearly
the
gambling.
cold near the bigger boys and get poked in the eye.
Oh, I know.
So yeah, it has always been, I suppose, either something that's hard to access or kind of like an outsider kind of community in some ways, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a
It's coming.
hope. It seems like you're making up for lost time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Basically, I mean, let's discount the first 10 years of your life, right? Because you are not able to do anything. But the 20 years following that, I did nothing but just expand my horizon and build up energy and stamina. So, and now the last 7 or 8 years, I've worked like a fucking crazy person, because it was the first time in my life where I could really put my like skills or imagination to good use in that sense. Yeah. Yeah. Because like when I was enrolled at university, I can probably count on one hand how often I was at the university. I was always gaming, and I was like only when there was an exam, I learned for 3 or 4 days to just get that shit behind me, and I could go back to gaming. Yeah.
Yeah, I increased my Xbox game score by about 100,000 points while
Wow.
I was at university.
Yeah.
Got
Pretty
mildly
time.
obsessed with watching the number go up.
Yeah. I mean,
But
my I mean, some might say my lowest point, but I would say my peak I reached when they released Skyrim, and I basically I just said, okay, let's just take a break from university. This was my first semester doing my master's degree in corporate law. Basically, it was like, yeah, let's just skip this half year. I will do it. I will do it next year. Let's just concentrate on Skyrim.
I like that you planned it out. You've made the right choice. You're like, I'm not gonna worry about the course. It's a write off. Let's just have fun
Yeah.
for the 6 months.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
way.
I think for me the dream's always to have a job that I enjoy. I
Mad
know
idea.
some people they want to work and have the time or money outside to enjoy that. I want both. I want everything.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and like I said, like it was never my dream or never something I pursued. It was just a complete coincidence that I started writing because I wanted to make money on the side while studying biophysics. And then I noticed, holy shit, this is fun. And there's like 5 people who bought it. And I just go ahead. And yeah, it was absolute. Yeah, it was a. There's this thing we just say when something comes from the side. I forgot. Whatever. Yeah, it was coincidence basically.
Did you write as a kid or anything, or did you just come into creative writing, as you
Yeah.
say, to make money in the end? Or...
No, yeah, like thinking back, like coincidentally, I did write some whatever stories when I was in first or second class or something, which I just didn't remember when I got back into it. But yeah, like I totally forgot about it, but that was an anecdote I remembered. Yeah, but or in that sense, then less the writing and more the design aspect, like because doing playing around with Photoshop was my hobby from when I turned 13 or something. It was
Oh,
for like just playing around with it, just creating pictures, photo meshing, just for fun basically. But I also created a few websites, for example, to make money on the side. So I always had this hobby basically, which then coincidentally just was the perfect synergy with writing at MÖRK BORG. I could put this to good use basically.
It's when these skills come together, isn't it? Like you don't know what it turns into later, but
yeah,
it's the way to go. I guess going on from that, I mean, I was going to say, like, talking about inspirations and stuff, but I can see sometimes there's some community engagement in your work.
For the older stuff, yeah.
Is it more in the older stuff? Is it? Because I remember in Bergen Chrypt, it's got little names underneath some of the things there. So
yeah, that is something I did when I started out. Yeah, basically you could leave a tip, and then you could send me some stuff I put into the scene, and that was fun for a while, but then eventually I was like, I don't really need a tip anymore because I'm doing quite well, because I didn't do well while I was still working and releasing stuff on the DM Guild, right? I was just barely scraping by. But then when I switched to Kickstarter, I got to a point where I could say, okay, you're now making enough to earn a living basically. And yeah, when I noticed you don't really need a tip anymore, I felt kind of cheap cheap the right word. It just felt wrong basically to request that additional support of people who might think I need it, although I don't. And I mean that's one aspect, but also I just also didn't feel like it anymore. Like just yeah, so I stopped doing that basically.
I mean, the process can change, right? And it's what comes in. I mean, that multiple community. There's a lot of ideas floating around in there, so it makes sense to make some use of it when it fits.
Yeah.
But if you've got a full book, you don't necessarily want to compromise on what your message is or what your story is, do you, with things if you can help it.
Yeah, that's one aspect as well, because like I said, I'm limited to 48 pages, and then I also have to take into account, okay, if I now want to incorporate these backer ideas, then I have to set aside a few spreads. But what I also did, for example, then following that was like I left a tip portion in, but wrote haikus for people, like something that didn't go into the scene, so I had more room for for other content. That was also fun for a while, but then I wrote, I don't know how many haikus, maybe 50 or more, no, maybe even 100 or something. And it was like, yeah, that's enough haikus. Like I just kind of grew bored of it. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what your itch is. It itch links to.
Yeah,
I choose your own adventure
poetry.
at the start. But it's like,
Yeah.
tell the man to go screw himself, or do you?
Yeah. That links to a card page where I collected all these haikus with a attribution when they wanted it. Yeah.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that the itch page starts with something interactive.
Mm.
You meet the
Yeah.
person, what do you do, and then it takes you to different areas. I really like that.
Yeah, I love that as a kid. Like there were these old DOS games,
Oh
which worked
yeah.
that way. And I even programmed a few of such games like in QBasic where I drew rooms with the characters. There are these line characters which intersect and shit. And I would like design rooms and then these interactive things. That was quite fun. Yeah.
You've always been doing it. It's like old school.
Yeah,
method,
it's
right?
it's funny
Yeah.
now that thinking back on it. Yeah, I just needed this. I mean, I did it for myself, right? But eventually, it's not enough anymore to just do it for yourself, I guess. Or I mean, it has to be. I guess if you wanna be successful, it has to be commercially viable in some sense.
Well, it's using the
And
skills you've got, isn't it, as well? Like if you happen to enjoy certain things and then you bring it into your work later, you've got to use everything you can. It makes sense.
yeah,
There's definitely that balancing act, isn't there, of
Mm.
giving people what they want, but also doing what you want to do.
yeah, exactly. I think that is exactly it. Like maybe I always knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know the right way to do it. Like for example, like this writing and designing TTRPG content, that is the perfect fit basically for what I want to do. But it's quite possible that there's something else which would be a good fit as well, which I never discovered.
See how the dominoes fall, right? I mean,
Yeah,
even your
exactly.
current model, you had to have Kickstarter to come out. You had to have Mork
Correct.
Borg to come out.
Yeah.
For any of this to have been happening. Obviously, I did D&D stuff before, but yeah, it's and here we are. I guess off the back of that is you've got I don't know how many. I think did you say 25 projects, Brian? You saw, or was that 25
That's
Kickstarters?
what Kickstarter told me.
Yeah, I think I saw 20 products on your itch around.
Yes, because like not every Kickstarter is a fresh product. For example, the Walls of not as a better example, but for example, Leviathan, which is just a reworked Temple of the Kraken God. So that's two Kickstarters, but technically one thing, right?
Yeah.
Because Leviathan is just an expansion and improvement of Kraken God. So yeah, probably 20 is more like. Oh no, I mean I have my project overview right here. Basically, at this point, it should, well, discounting this one, it should be about 18 proper Kickstarters.
Nice.
Wow.
That's a lot. I was going to say, so out of all those, is there any you found particularly challenging, or any that you found your absolute favorite that you really enjoyed?
That's an interesting question. I can tell you one thing. There's this dungeons scene. This was the thing I created where I was the most burned out. I was just so fucking exhausting while making that one. Yeah, that's why I remember it vividly. Like for one reason, because I was exhausted anyways, but also because it was this thing where because I just had to do dungeons, right? Usually when I create something, I have some it's always different, right? There's a dungeon, there's a monster, there's class, but this one exhausted me to no end. And yeah, that was basically the hardest I ever created. And I just looking here, I think one of the most fun then would be the rework of Walls of Torment. I mean, it's also kind of a samey thing, but that was just, I don't know, that just worked out very well. I had lots of fun like creating the scene version of that one.
I think, well, with dungeons, it's quite like almost as a one-page dungeon per page, isn't it? So it's quite
Not all of them, but most.
Yeah. Sorry, there are some that have a couple, and then some interesting dynamics in some of those. I guess with vaults, though, it's not just it's a mega dungeon, but it uses a lot of your kind of the techniques you've got in the other ones. So you've got factions in there, you've got interesting NPCs, you've got locations. I mean, I hope I'm not spoiling anything, but like there's a lot that you can you kind of like pull on that feels very Bergen Chryptian in from my experience of what I think it'll fit in really well.
Let me just
And it's horrible, which is great.
Yeah, and in that sense, Vault of Torment, although it is just one mega dungeon, felt way more varied and diverse than dungeons, which you probably might not expect, but that's just how it turned out.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, because you mentioned earlier, kind of the idea of not giving someone just this happens, this happens, this happens. Here's a map, 3 goblins behind a tree, etc., etc. It sounds like, and you can correct me if you're wrong. I'm just trying to see if I've got this right. That you kind of feel, does it feel like you're making a toolkit? You're giving the gem a load of different pieces, different moving parts, and they can build something around your sort of the structure that you're giving them and the ideas that you're giving them.
Depends a bit on which one. I mean, I made a few campaigns, which are these hex-based ones, where there's a set of I don't know, 40 different hexes, and you can create your own adventure style, cut them out, and create your own imaginary map of the place. Those are very random because every tile has these random things associated with it. And that's more what I would consider, the toolkit. Yeah, exactly. That is I don't know which one.
A
Cannot,
one. And that's
yeah.
That's what Bergen Chrypt is. I don't know if you do that, Brian. So I cut out the tiles on a screenshot and compiled them how I felt was going to fit, which is kind of tricky in a way because I was like, okay, how far do I put it? But then I guess that gives me freedom and like how long do I want the campaign to be? Is it going to be fast?
You can make a microphone crawl for
Absolutely.
Exactly, yeah. So I don't have a pre-generated map. I don't create the map. It's just basically you can randomize it. You can build your own shit, and you can even, I mean, these tiles are cross compatible. You could even like take the tile sets of all my adventures and make a super crazy ground campaign out of it if you wanted to. And that is just something I enjoy the thought of, basically. Yeah. Those are the ones I would say are toolkits, and but I also have like these adventures which are more straightforward, like Cult of the Hadron Dam is a notable example. Is there even another one? I think I mostly go for the more toolkitty stuff. I mean, Leviathan, that's also a good example for one of the more traditional adventure. Although there are also tiles in there now.
Also fun. I think I used I'll have to remember the program, but there are some online programs that you can get the pictures and then load them into and then paint the tiles on, because that's the only thing, I guess. It's the kind of positioning them and trying to put them on a PDF. I don't know do you use anything? Have you ever done, well, if you've built a map out of those tiles, is there anything in particular you do, or do you just like almost copy paste them around the PDF, Photoshop or something?
Do you mean when I run the campaign?
Yeah, like if you were going to build a map, what method would you use?
I don't run online games. I print them out and I cut them out, and then I just put them on a table, and then I have to photograph everything so I can build it for the next session. I mean, I could also, I guess, glue it on, but then I have to carry around this fucking huge ass glued map. So
I built my map, pre-built it on the computer, but then I printed it out and gave it to the players. Well, I gave them one that they knew of, and then I let them fill it out. So they had like a blank hex crawl map where they could fill it out as they went, and then I had the actual one that showed me where the locations were.
That makes
You said you don't do online games. Is that a deliberate choice or just the way things are?
I mean, we played a few games online while the lockdown was going on, and I just didn't enjoy it. It just took all the fun a way that
Mm.
for me is role playing. I just didn't feel like I was there in the game. I felt like I'm sitting in front of my PC and I'm playing a game alone. I don't know. It just didn't work for me in that sense. So yeah, just no fun. But can I share my screen quick? Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
just want to show you this is a map somebody created for Boneheart Crusaders and sent me a photo of which I loved this just, and I put it on the product page of the, which is now called Hallowed. Yeah, so yeah, just as an example, what you can do with these hexes.
Yeah, we'll pop a link across to where that is online so people can see
Yeah,
it properly.
Mm.
On YouTube, it's up on the screen now. That's quite cool though. I like
yes,
that.
yeah, so
Yeah,
much additional stuff going on next to the tiles. Yeah,
yeah. So
always
they've
makes my day.
chopped them out, added some bits. They've made it look a bit in world with some bits of graffiti type looking stuff. I like that. Keith, why
Yeah.
don't we have one of them? Come on. No, that's cool. That's cool. How does it feel when someone gives you something that gives you, like, you got an email from Keith saying that he loves you, and you get things like that. How does that feel as a creator?
Yeah, I mean that is definitely the best. Like, um, that's what makes it all worth it, and also like gives me the um the confirmation that somebody plays it, because I feel like there's not many people who actually end up using it, and which would be very sad. But yeah, it's just enough if one person like sends me a picture, then I'm all good. And like and that was during my D&D days. There was this one guy who wrote a very nice review for one of my early very successful products, which was just a collection of quest seeds on notice boards, where I included the notice boards as JPEG files, which looked like real wood, right, with these paper notes on it, so you could print it out for your players. And he just wrote a really nice review, and I was like, wow, this guy loved this so much. I will do another one of these just because of this review. Like the kind of motivation you get out of that is yeah, makes all the difference basically.
Yeah, it's funny you saying that, because I think there is a, well, it's easy to get carried away on Kickstarter. I think me and Brian will probably both agree to that. Like the amount of stuff
God,
I
yeah.
just buy, I'm like, yes, and then
I have a
time,
spreadsheet.
right?
I have a
Time.
spreadsheet so I remember what I've paid for on Kickstarter, which is terrible,
Mm.
isn't it?
I mean, even like playing through Bergen Chrypt. Obviously, okay, we're playing the long version, but I think you've released 3 or 4 products over the course of me trying to so like my chances of actually catching up with what I've got, it's
Yeah,
gonna take me a while, but yeah, as you say, it's I guess it's those moments when someone actually buys it, loves it enough to sit down and then bring their friends in. Because plus the fact it's not just someone reading your book, it's a collection of people experiencing it, which is another level, right?
oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that is also interesting it's always hard to explain to people what I actually do. I mean, obviously everybody who plays TTRPG, they immediately understand what I do, but when I tried to explain it to my parents, they didn't get it.
Yeah.
Um,
Hard.
like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I told them, yeah, I'm writing an interactive novel people can play. That was something
Yeah.
they could understand. But like going like, yeah, I'm writing a module and the DM buys it, and then they then they organize a game for other people to play in it. Then just like you see the smoke coming out of their heads.
Cool. I don't want to kidnap you for the rest of the evening, especially as you're an hour ahead of us,
I have time.
temporally, emotionally, physically, all of those things. I just wonder, with your wealth of Kickstarter experience and sort of launching your own products and getting things out there. This is more of a personal one. Keith and I have been beavering away at some Mork Borg stuff in the background for about a year, possibly overthinking it and not giving it our full attention.
Definitely.
But I was wondering what your tips would be for anyone out there who's thinking of creating something and getting it out there and trying
Mm,
to kind of make a success of it, even if it's more of a hobby thing or something they just think they'd like to put out there.
mm.
Yeah, what would be your kind of your top tips, things for them to bear in mind?
I mean, the best tip I can ever give anybody is to have amazing art, because that is the most important thing if you want to sell. Like, nobody
Sorry.
gives a shit about what you write until they actually read it. And
Oh,
yeah,
I
go
saw
ahead.
Keith's eyes go wide when you said that. Because I will be doing most of the words and Keith will be doing the art. So
Okay, yeah.
No pressure. No pressure.
no
Yeah.
pressure. You're like, oh.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
makes sense.
and this is, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway of these 7 to 8 years. I've been doing this, like, because like I said, the most success I had with the products, that's back in the D&D days, which looked like something interesting, like the ones where you get the notice board, or where I just had an amazing cover, or the most important thing if you want to get into the game, yeah, and like having the good writing is how you stay in the game, right? Because people won't come back if the content, the actual content is shit. Yeah, but to get the foot in the door, you have to make it sparkle. Like some Kickstarters also. I mean, like everything is evolving, right? And now there are like these GIFs on Kickstarter where everything bounces around and everything is distorted and moving. And yeah, you have to get that attention somehow, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. People don't want to read a paragraph unless you have to get them in to read the paragraph.
Yeah.
So it's your billboard, right?
Yeah. And I guess like one tip which I would give, but I don't know if it's the right one, is at least for me, or if you want to do it continuously and not just as a one-off, just keep it simple. Like, don't have a billion stretch goals, which will burn you out and make everything too complicated. Because you also mentioned, like, I don't do any dice and whatever kind of knickknack. I mean, in theory, I would love to have dice and patches and whatever, but yeah, you have to cut it off somewhere, right? And you have to think about what do you actually want to do? Do you want to create a scene, or do you want to have the whole shebang? Because if you don't want the whole shebang and think you have to do it, and then you do it and then you hate it, then you're doing yourself a big disservice, basically.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was going to ask about stretch goals.
Yeah,
I've
I've
been
never.
stuck. You've never done stretch
No,
goals.
no, because it's for one, I don't think it leads to any additional sales. I don't think there's any person who puts off their pledge because they hope that a stretch goal will come, or I just don't think it does anything. It just adds a lot more busy work for you. But I mean, I might be wrong, right? It's just a gut feeling.
Yeah, I've been suckered into maybe giving them more money, but I've never gone, oh, I'll up my pledge. Once I've decided that that's where I'm at, then
Yeah.
that's fine.
Or maybe like, if it's something you would have done anyway, then it kind of
Yeah.
feels like false advertising. And if it's something you would really love to do, but it's just not possible with your initial funding goal, then it is understandable, because it's something you want to have. Like if you're just a dice guy and you want shiny dice with glow stuff in them, and you can't realize it any other way, then absolutely go for it. But like, don't treat it as a selling point. Like, yeah.
I guess with that, it's like looking to the future, really. I saw in your email, is it you're returning with a new project next year, potentially, called Monochrome. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that of the
Yeah,
input.
yeah, yeah.
Are you able to tell us any more about that? What's coming?
Yeah, I can, of course. I mean, Monochrome is another dive into the MÖRK BORG world in Allianz, basically the coal city in the north,
Yeah.
where Anthelia drinks all the color from the world, and that is why it's monochrome. Basically, everything is pale, and that will just be a little bit of a, well, at how it looks now, it will probably be a little bit of a campaigny thing, where just a city description of Allianz, and then and to explore the city, and with two objectives: either like help the Countess and the world, or help the rebels and the Countess. Yeah.
Cool. Because
Yeah.
you already got some of the other cities covered with Galgenbeck.
Exactly. Yep. That is. I mean, I basically have almost everything covered, and the only things missing would be something, or yeah, maybe basically Sarkash. I don't have a product there, and Chrypt is also missing.
Mm.
And it's like because I also kind of don't have an idea, but once the idea strikes,
Yeah.
then I will do it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Once
But
you run out of
yeah, we will see if I run out, because
yeah,
the thing is, I will have to see how this campaign goes, because like the bigger MÖRK BORG wave is definitely subsiding, I feel like. And the interest has declined in the last 1 or 2 years noticeably. So yeah, Monochrome will basically be one test to see how is MÖRK BORG even still viable.
Okay.
And then we will see if I if I can continue to like expand the world a bit, or maybe have to look elsewhere. Yeah, we will see. It's a bit of a time of change, I guess. Yeah, we'll
yeah.
have to see.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, if you run out of Mork Borg, or as you said, have to step away, would you ever consider something that was entirely your own? Would you design your own system as well as do the writing side of things? I know you bring in stats and stuff, but build something from scratch. Would you ever consider heading in that direction, or would you maybe look for other existing games to build things for?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'm looking more into different systems. I had to look around a little bit. I mean, one thing I'm thinking about is Shadow Dog, maybe.
Yeah.
But it is the thing is, like, I mean, I would love to continue with MÖRK BORG, but like if it's not commercially viable anymore, then I'm forced to switch. But I would like to continue with MÖRK BORG, obviously. Yeah, and regarding my own system, it's something I thought about, but I'm definitely not into late like putting that pressure on my shoulders to create something that's actually balanced. I don't want people coming
Yeah.
to me and telling me, here, this is not balanced, this is shit. I don't like this one. I want to, like, I don't want that. I don't want that kind of pressure. Because I just know it would burn me out. Like, I also don't want my own Discord server. Like, I don't want a Discord server for my own game, because then I would be tagged all day, and then I would need to like keep up with people, and that would just be the end of me, basically. Yeah. What I thought, or more like what I actually even started, is a little bit of MÖRK BORG setting hack, but even that I didn't feel it. Like, it's one of the rare occasions where I actually dropped the project after I started it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know that's.
So
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was saying it's. I can't remember who wrote it now. So I feel bad about is it Tefrotic Nightmares, the Ash Waste one that Johan Noor just brought out? That one explored. That kind of goes off land and goes off into the ether. So I guess, yeah, it's. I guess it's just seeing what's out there, isn't it? Whether you stay with the game or not. I mean,
No, that is definitely something I would do. Like, I'm also thinking about like writing an adventure for Pirate Book, for example. That's also on the possible to-do list, which also kind of is something you could also do in MÖRK BORG, just elsewhere. That's no problem at all. No, I was, when I say setting hack, it's more like I was thinking about doing some MÖRK BORG in space, basically. But
Okay.
and I started writing it, but I just didn't feel it. So yeah, I don't know. I most enjoy writing adventures, or just these little flavorful supplements, like I did in Purgatory and Apocrypha, where I've thrown a few new classes or something. That's fun for me, and you know, when I'm basically I'm doing what I enjoy, and then we will see where we end up.
100%.
What I'm considering is writing something which has even less rules than MÖRK BORG, which is more of a collaborative gaming experience,
Okay. Yeah.
where you just have a set of guidelines, basically no actual rules. That is something I would consider doing, because yeah, I don't want complicated things. I just want to like let it roll.
Yeah, that's interesting. I suppose there's also sort of system agnostic settings or adventures that can be used with different rule sets, and you're kind of providing something that GMs can take and use in different games.
Yeah, that might be also something I may try out at one point. Like because like system agnostic has the big appeal that you're speaking to everybody, right? Because like at the moment, I have my built-in people, which is the MÖRK BORG crowd, and so yeah, that is something I might eventually do. Like, because like I will always have my MÖRK BORG people for the system agnostic stuff. But yeah, reaching new ones is definitely a big appeal. Yeah, I'm also thinking about doing having some fun writing short stories and just offering them with the Kickstarter, basically as just a scene of system agnostic short stories you could just use as inspiration for NPCs to throw in there, or stuff that happens in your world that might be cool. Yeah, we'll see.
We noticed recently, I can't remember who the author is, apologies to them if they ever hear this, but there's been a Mork Borg novel that has
Yeah,
recently
John Baldesberger.
There we go.
You mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I actually have his newest draft here on my desktop. I've been meaning to read it still. Yeah, because he did the new novel. He said it publicly. I don't think I'm spoiling anything. His new novel is set in the Valley of Unfortunate Dead, inspired by the campaign from Hellowed, the Boneheart Crusaders campaign. Like the
very cool.
The story is centered around that crusade, basically, and it's so fucking awesome to read the novella about the thing I wrote. Yeah, it's really enjoyable.
Super cool. Really good. Highlight. I realised we've kind of gone through this a little bit, but I just feel like we've glossed over Death in Space a little bit, because you have put out quite a few zines for that.
Well, true. I mean, yeah.
Well, I guess more recently. Sorry. Yeah. Because I got one of them for my brother, because he got the main book at the last Gamescom, and it's been fun. What we've played is also very rules light.
Is that Ryan from the Roll in the Dark Actual Play podcast, Keith?
It's that like that.
One of the funniest human beings I've ever met in my entire life.
He's
we're playing a very serious Delta Green campaign, and his little one-liners that I missed the first time. He's absolutely amazing. Check it out. Not for me, but for him. Continue.
Yeah. I mean, I got into Death in Space just because I mean, I'm a huge sci-fi fan. Like I grew up with Star Trek, but was always my go-to thing to watch. And when I want to feel the itch again, I will continue as well with Death in Space. Yeah,
nice.
And I mean, it caught my attention basically just because it's also from guys associated or in the Stockholm Quartet, basically. Because I mean, there are obviously other options out there, like Mothership would be way smarter to write for, because it has a way larger customer base. But I guess I just I stick with what I know.
With very similar rule set again, and it has been fun when I've played it. So I look forward to seeing more. Then that'll be cool.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing, because I was having a look at Mothership, and I read, let's say, 10% of the rules, and I was like, okay, now I'm done. I don't want to read any more rules. And then when Death in Space came out, and it is rules-light enough. There's a little bit more in there than in MÖRK BORG, but it's just easy enough for me to write content for, because I can also just ignore some stuff like the ship-to-ship combat or whatever. That's left to the GM. I can ignore those rules because I just write the adventures which are on the ground, so I can concentrate on what I like. And then and I mean, there will probably be more. There will be at least one more Death in Space thing coming. I have a little bit of a campaign idea, which will probably materialize at some point next year.
Cool. We're going to get some more like hex crawl cutout things potentially for a little galaxy.
Or... Nah, probably not.
I
mean, never say never, right? But I mean, the campaign idea I have for now is, because like the Death in Space scenes I created, Derelict, is set around a black hole, which could be anywhere. and Xenophilia, which is not even fulfilled yet, is set in a different star system than the original one. Although you could work it also into the like the star system that's featured out of the box. But yeah, like I've never actually did anything in the original star system, and I want to write a campaign which brings the characters to all the different planets, just like a grand tour around the system with some hauling contracts or some, and then which combine eventually to some overarching story. That's yeah, something I want to do still.
Sounds good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So what I think would be the best way to finish off would be for you to tell us where we can find you, and where people can go to pick up your stuff.
So if you want to buy my stuff from inside the EU, then you visit All the Problems in This World, which is the most fucking awesome shop in Berlin, or Germany in general. If you are from the US, then you probably should look into the Soul Muppet stuff. That's also the Soul Muppet shop, which is also good for everybody in the UK. And also the Beyond Cataclysm shop by New Fulfillment people. They have stuff on offer. Yeah, but you will always get an overview, or at least a link to where you can buy my scenes on my itch. So the first place you should always go is my itch page, and then you just have a look at the scene, like the PDF, and in these descriptions I link to the various stores that carry the different versions.
Cool. We'll put the links in the description, and we'll make sure that those are nice and clear for who needs to go where to find stuff. Thank you very much. This has been great. I've had a great time.
Thank you.
So if you have enjoyed listening to this, please, I think the best thing, if you do enjoy this, is to share what we do. Tell your friends, pop it on wherever it is that you share stuff that you enjoy. Even if you just click like or leave us a short review, we would absolutely love it. We're still very small. We're still trying to claw our way back to our heights a few years ago, after our relaunch, and any of that would be great. Or you can just come around my house and give me big sacks of cash. That would also be a great way of showing your appreciation. I might even share some of it with the others. We've obviously got, this is on the podcast feed and the YouTube channel. Some of our content crosses over, but some of it is unique if it's more visual, if it's more audio. We have, I don't know if I told you, we have an actual play podcast called Roll in the Dark that we also publish on our network. We have a TikTok, and we also have a website, www.criticaltwits.com, where you can go and you can find links to all of the above, and all that kind of stuff. So until next time, thank you very much. And one final thank you very much to Christian for coming and joining us. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Cheers.
Truly.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.